All right, so in this week's guitar lesson, we have a call and response blues, very slow and laid back, kind of a minor key vibe. And these are always super popular because they're so much fun to play. It allows you to just jam by yourself. You can just pick up your guitar and start playing some chords and then reacting to those chords, having a little musical conversation with yourself. And you can improvise that way. It's a really good way to practice as well. And so everything that I'm playing here is just a 3 chords, 1-4-5 chord format, and then the scale is minor pentatonic scale. It's basic stuff that you already know. We're going to put it all together, and I'll explain where all those notes come from. So in this video, we're going to go through the first half of what I just played. If you'd like to join us for the part 2 video, where I'll explain that, and then also download the tab PDF file for everything, and also access the on-screen tab viewer, which has the tab and the video on the screen at the same time. No talking, it's just an interactive tablature. You can get those extra materials by going to activemelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP573. Okay, so I'm playing this song in the key of B, and I chose this key because we're going to be playing closed position. That means there's no open strings. And I did that on purpose so that you can easily shift your hand up or down the fretboard, just change your starting point, and then you're going to be playing in a different key. So if you want to do this in another key, you can easily do that yourself. I think we need to do more of these closed position lessons. Lately I've been doing a lot of things in the key of A or E, and they have these open strings, and you don't want to become reliant on those. You want to understand everything as it relates to your chord shapes. I mean, they're good to have, and they're obviously a big part of music, but I think it's good to know these closed position things as well. So we're in the key of B. So our 3 chords, it's a 1-4-5 chord format. Our 1 chord is a B, our 4 chord is an E, our 5 chord is an F sharp. Now, I actually lied when I said the 1 chord is a B. It's actually more of a B minor. It sounds like this. And then your 4 chord and 5 chord are major. So I would, if I were writing this out, I'd say a minor 1 chord and then a 4 and a 5, just as far as charting it out. That's how I would describe it. Now the first little point I want to make here, which I think is a big takeaway, if you're writing a song, you're composing something with a 1-4-5 structure, you can make any of those chords major or minor. It doesn't really matter the order. You're going to get different vibes if you do that, different feeling. But like in this case, I've got a minor 1 chord, but a major 4 and a major 5. And the 3 play together very well. Sometimes you'll hear a song with a minor 1 chord, a minor 4 chord, and a major 5. That's common. It can be a minor 1, a minor 4, and a minor 5 to get that kind of sound. So play around with those things and see what you get if you just change one of them from major to minor. You can do that with any of them. You can mix and match them and get different vibes. So if you're trying to write a blues thing and you're looking for a certain type of sound, try that. Just try changing one of your chords from major to minor or vice versa. Okay, so those are the 3 chords we're going to be playing off. Let's listen to this first little intro bit, and then we'll talk about what's going on. All right, so I started with this. And that's going from the 5 chord to the 4 chord, and then we go back to the 1 chord. So that's a classic way to start a song. If you're looking for an idea for how to start a composition, start with the 5 chord. You'll see me doing that on a lot of these, and there's variations on it. Obviously, we're going from the 5 to the 4, so it's sort of like a turnaround, and then we get to the 1. And that 5 chord is it's a F sharp 7, and I'm playing it here using that C7 shape. It's like these 3 fingers are making a C chord, and then I put my C chord shape, I should say, and then my pinky goes down on the 9th fret 3rd string, and you play those middle, and that's giving me an F sharp 7 chord. This note is an F sharp. This note is also an F sharp. Okay, so I started with that chord, and then I walked it down chromatically, slid down to here, which would be my E7. It's the same shape though, we just go down 2 frets. And then I threw in this little lick that goes. Let's look at that. That's barring the first 5 strings on the 7th fret, but we're only going to be playing strings 5 and 4. So we're starting on the 5th string, and I play that note, and then I do a hammer on to the 9th fret 5th string. Then I do an up stroke on the 4th string, which is behind that bar there on the 7th fret. So it's like this. Now these notes are coming out of my B minor pentatonic scale. And so most of the licks we're going to be playing in this are just B minor pentatonic scale. I'm just thinking about the key of the song. I'm not thinking about the chords as they pass by necessarily. Well, there's a few spots where I'm going to touch on some of those notes. I'll call those out. But for the most part, it says just B minor pentatonic scale. So that's where this lick is coming from. And by the way, this is pattern 1 of my B minor pentatonic scale. Then we slide with my ring finger from that 9th fret down to the 7th fret on the 5th string, and then down to the 5th fret, and then we go to the 7th fret 6th string. So we have down to here, right? Right after that, I followed it up with this note, which is another B note. So this is a B note, and then this is a B note, an octave higher. And so that's, and I just stayed on that note. And this to me has kind of an Otis Rush kind of vibe. I guess that's where this is coming from in my head. I don't know. And I played it like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know that's not very creative, but it seemed to work. It's just sort of hanging out on that one note. All right, so now we get into the groove, and it goes like this. So that's the first little, that's actually the call and response. So the call is that. That's the call. And the calls change each time, but the responses stay the same. So what I'm doing, think minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1. That's where we're at. So I'm starting here on this 9th fret 3rd string. And I'm doing a half bend. I could do a full bend there, but to me it's just got that kind of swanky. It sounds a little more mysterious if you don't do a full bend there and do a half bend. Then down to the 7th fret 3rd string, 9th fret 4th string. Back to the 7th fret 3rd string with a very strong vibrato. Now that to me has kind of an Albert King kind of vibe. He would hit this note, which is your flat 3rd from the chord. So if you made it major, if I went up a fret, then I've got it's a proper 3rd, so then I've got a B major chord. But when you hit this minor 3rd note, but you push it kind of into the major sound, that's a sound that I hear a lot of blues guys doing, especially Albert King. Really good at that doing. It's sort of, you're teasing on the edge of, is it minor, is it major, and you're kind of almost playing with both. So as I hit that vibrato, I'm just kind of giving it a little extra force to push it sharp. So we have, and then, so there's, this is played on the 4th string. We go 7th fret, hit that twice, up to the 9th fret, hit that twice. And then I come down with, and I actually bar that so that I can hit the 7th fret 6th string, and then hit strings 1 and 2 with an upstroke. And what you're doing there is defining that chord basically. Now that's a good takeaway. If you walk away with nothing else, just take this idea as a great little blues rhythm. There's a lot of stuff you can do with that. Go to the 4 chord. And, you know, I got this idea just from listening to, I think it's, again, I'll go back to Otis Rush. That's got an Otis Rush kind of thing. Okay, so we have. Now notice when I play that, I use these 2 fingers to pluck strings 1 and 2. So sometimes I might do it that way. Sometimes I might use my pick. I'll leave that up to you. You can experiment and see which one feels better. Okay, so the second time through, it's basically the same thing. The timing is just a little different. Kind of hung out on that bend there. And then I went did the same little response, but that time I'm hitting strings 4 and 3. Now I did that accidentally. I didn't mean to do it, but it works, right? Because that's another note in the chord. All right, so now the song goes to the 4 chord, and to do that, I played it like this. So that gets me into that call. You can already hear when I do that, I'm tracing the notes of that 4 chord, which is my E, E7. So we're back to here, 9th fret, 3rd string. Played that with a bend, another half bend. Play the note without the bend, and then that's a hammer on, pull off, and then I come down to the 4th string and play 9, 7. So just practice that little bit. And that's a Clapton move. Clapton uses that quite a bit. And then, now when I did that, I came down to the 5th fret, 4th string, did a hammer onto the 6th fret on the 4th string, and then I played the 5th fret, 2nd string. Now, what are those two notes? Why does it sound like the 4 chord? Why does it sound like that E7? Well, these two notes are a harmonized 6, but they live inside of my E7 chord, which we've already played. Remember in the intro? We played that E7. I'm just playing strings 4 and 2 out of that. So when you can start seeing the chords like this, you can just touch on those notes in the chords to really color where you're at. Now, you don't have to do that. You could just stay, at least mentally, just stay in the scale and just play minor pentatonic stuff all the time. But every now and then, if you can pick a few notes that you know are going to work because they're in the chord, do that and it'll improve your playing by a lot. So now after that, the response to that goes. So what I'm doing for that is I'm barring and playing strings 2 and 3 here on the 7th fret. I'm doing the same thing on the 9th fret. And then I come down to this E note here, 7th fret, 5th string. And that's basically following the same pattern of the responses. Like, there's my 1 chord. For the 4 chord, it's the same thing. We just jump everything up a set of strings, but I went ahead and hit strings 3 and 2 because I just thought that sounded a little fatter. Now after that response, I came up here and played this call. Let's look at that. I love the sound of that. So I'm thinking minor pentatonic scale. With the exception of one note. So in a few spots here, I'm going to blend some of the notes from the major pentatonic scale. So I'm going to start here on the 7th fret, 2nd string, come up to the 10th fret, and then we're going to the 1st string, and this is where I'm going to add that major pentatonic note. I'm going to play 7, 9. Now that 9th fret is not in your minor pentatonic scale, but it is in the major pentatonic scale. All right, so here's another takeaway idea for you. If you're playing a lead and you're in minor pentatonic scale pattern 1, try using this note every now and then. Right? And it's just right there on that 1st string. You can still go to the note above it if you want. But it can really work for most situations. Okay, so let's get back to our lick. So we're up to here, right? And then watch this. I love this little pull off here between the 8th fret and the 7th fret on the 1st string. There it is. And then we come back to the 10th fret, 2nd string, back down to the 7th fret on the 2nd string. So, and then I went, so that's just minor pentatonic scale. And then we go back to the same response. All right, so now we're going to go to our 5 chord, which is our F sharp 7. So I came up after that response, I came up here and went. Let's look at that. So it's a 11th fret 3rd string and then 10th fret 2nd string. We go back and forth between those two notes, and then we're going to do a full bend on the 12th fret 2nd string. And then we play out of that bend like that. Back to the 10th fret, 12th fret 2nd string 2 times, and then back to that 10th fret 2nd string, 11th fret 3rd string. So now, why did that work over the 5 chord? This is the big question. This is another little idea, another little blues lead idea. So remember, our 5 chord here is our F sharp. And if I play these notes, what are these notes in relation to my F sharp? These are the F sharp minor pentatonic scale pattern 4. That's where we're at. Right? That's where all these notes are. But look at where they are in relation to the key of the song. So when I realized this, it was a big game changer for me. If I'm playing a blues and I'm playing in the key of the song, so minor pentatonic scale pattern 1, I come up into pattern 2, right? When it goes to the 5 chord, my minor pentatonic, what was my minor pentatonic scale pattern 2 can now be, I can think of it this way, as I can think of it as my minor pentatonic scale pattern 4 for the 5 chord. Right? So anyway, that's why that lick works there. It's a little minor thing. If you don't get that, just know that you can come up here and do a full bend in this position over the 5 chord. Now after that bend, I play this lick. So let's look at that. So this is just a little, I'm picturing the little triangle that I just played out of for that bend, but it's between the 12th fret and the 10th fret on the 2nd string, and then down to the 11th fret 3rd string. Now I'm going to repeat that, so I'm going to go. That's the first lick. Then I came down to here. So I came from pattern 2 down to pattern 1 of my minor pentatonic scale for B. And that's basically following the same little idea. And then down to my low B, and then hitting strings 1 and 2, just like we've done for the responses. And then you follow it up with that little tag there for the response. All right, so that's the first time through this composition. We're going to end this part 1 video right there. We've covered a lot of material. Come join us for part 2 where we go over the second half. We'll keep the same chord structure. We're just going to play a whole bunch of new stuff using the same ideas, same call and response ideas. So come join us for part 2. If you like this video, give me a like, leave a comment below. I always love it when you do that. I'll read all the comments and let me know if there's anything that wasn't clear or anything that you just really liked, any ideas that resonated with you. That's always helpful to me. All right, we'll see you in part 2.